his car fell off a lift at like 4 a.m. and almost killed me.
Holy shit.
Yeah.
What?
If you're scraping by, running yourself thin, FD is too much money to be trying to do it that way.
Oh, absolutely. I've heard the idea Shelby America possibly becoming its own team in FD. Is that something that is a high probability, or is it just kind of a thought?
Yeah, let's see how you do under pressure. Yeah, I've been wanting this shit forever. I've been in the field with whatever they throw at me. Brush it off, pick myself up, moving on to the better. Hey, yeah, ain't no errors, baby. It's a new era.
Welcome back to the #1 Drift podcast on YouTube. My name is Dawson, and today we have
Justin Bauer with Justin Bauer Motorsports.
Hell yeah. Appreciate you coming on.
Yep.
Before we get into the podcast, of course, look below the video. Make sure that subscribe button is not still red. If it is, go ahead and click that and hit the bell notification while you're at it. Along with that, if you haven't grabbed one of the Grassroots Hero steering wheels, like I got one behind me and there's one behind him as well. Actually, my personal one beside him. You can customize them to any color that you want, whether you want suede or leather too. So if you haven't done that, jump over to 144 Racing, grab one of those. Jesus, sorry, I'm already fucking up. Also, nasty gloves. Those are now available on 144 Racing. You can customize those to whatever color you want, and you'll get the Circle Drift Grassroots Hero design on it. Along with that, stickers, hats, all that stuff too. Don't miss out on those. Helps the podcast tremendously. And if you can't grab the merch, totally get that too. I appreciate you watching anyways. But that is all I got for the introduction. So if you want to kind of give a more in-depth intro to who you are and what you do for a living, all that stuff.
Okay, so my name is Justin Bauer. I've been drifting about 13 years maybe, since 2011.
Damn, it's been that long now?
Yeah.
Jeez, son.
Thanks.
You old bastard.
Right? I get that a lot. I mostly did it for fun up until about 2017, and then I ran into a good buddy of mine, Jonathan Nairn, and kind of decided I wanted to get into competition a little bit.
Yeah.
So about 2018, I think I built my first competition car, competed then, and took a couple years after that for family reasons and things, and then we got back into competition again with another chassis, and so I've been running like Justin Bauer Motorsports, the program, since about 2018. So
damn.
Yeah.
That's wild, man.
Yep.
Long time.
Yep. Tell me about it.
You mentioned Nairn. What I first remember, like, even recognizing who you were, was you were working with Nairn in FD, right? As part of his crew?
Yeah, essentially. Yeah, so I actually met him at Piedmont way back in the day. And when I realized I wanted to get into drifting, I know he had been competing a lot, and I had no idea about competition drifting, so I didn't know what I was in for. So I remember I just went up to him and was like, "Hey man, I got one question. I know you're busy." I was like, what was your biggest hurdle going into competition, you know?
Right.
And he said reliability. He's like, things kept breaking, yada yada yada, but once you got reliability down, you could stay in the seat on the track and keep your practice. And as long as the car held together, you do good. So like from there moving forward, I've always been like reliability, good parts, things that don't break,
True. Yeah, the car is like the one thing you can't control.
Right.
In a sense.
Exactly. So from there on, we kind of just chatted here and there. And I really don't remember how, but I ended up going to FD Canada and helping him in the pits.
Okay.
So we did that a couple years, and then on and off with other stuff and all the FD stuff and things like that. So we've been friends for a good while now, I would say, and we just kind of help each other out back and forth, and pull the ropes where we can, help each other. You know what I mean? Yeah.
So, you were driving yourself at the time, right?
I was driving myself at the time. Yep.
What were you driving?
I was driving. So I've been in an S13K car, like welded diff coilovers and a working e-brake for
surprising
for like the first 10 years or so. And then when I decided I wanted to go compete, I was trying to decide if I wanted to do a JZ or LS. And like the inner me wanted to do a JZ, wanted to. Yeah, I love the sound of a turbo car for, one. But I just felt reliability wise, the LS was the move.
Yeah.
There's no turbo, less, lines to bust and yada, yada, yada. So I 5.3, junkyard 5.3 swapped my S13.
Okay.
And it was an S13 hatch, kooky front. And the first shakedown event was Road Atlanta Grid Life. And I remember in the driver's meeting, and I'd been
full
up.
course one? Like
Yeah.
full course Road Atlanta? Oh, God.
I've been up
no.
for 24 hours straight getting that car done. And thank God for like Naren and them too. They all like pitched in and helped too. 24 hours up straight, got the car done in Concord, trailered it down to Road Atlanta, get there in time for the driver's meeting. And Nick Swan, I remember him saying, "This is not an event to shake down your car. Do not come here to shake down your car." And I'm like, oh shit.
Uh-oh.
That's, well,
Kind of exactly what I did.
It's exactly what I did. And I was like, whoops. And so, not to ramble on, but so S13 LS car basically.
Okay.
And I got 3 laps in it.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So, got on grid. We're sitting in on grid waiting to take off, and the temperature, I forget the numbers, but the temperatures were somewhere. We started going, temperature dropped like 15 degrees.
Okay.
At the time, I didn't know what a LS, ran coolant temp wise. So I was like, okay, I assume.
That's a whole slop.
Right.
I finally gave into the peer pressure and got myself a sim. Now this off season I can get some seat time virtually in the sim at some tracks that I've never been to, or just practice on tandems. And I don't really replicate much, but what I like to is my nasty gloves, because I use those in the car religiously, and it helps keep some familiarity to the budget sim that I have. And you can actually customize these to whatever color you want on 144 Racing. So let me know, what setup are you working with, and what gloves do you like to drive with on the sim?
So it dropped 15 degrees when I started driving. I was like, okay, cooling, whatever. Well, it turns out my radiator hose had popped and let all of its water out. And my buddy was behind me, and he seen it dump all the water out, and he was trying to catch me to tell me, but he couldn't catch up to me. He was in at the time, it was like correct me if I'm wrong, but a 4AG Corolla hatchback.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. On Road Atlanta, trying to catch up to a LS S13.
Yeah, good luck.
Yeah. So I had no idea. Did 3 laps. Car felt great. Didn't have much grip, I would say, because it was able to do like the whole track, like no problem. 3rd lap, it starts like dieseling down at low RPM or something. I'm like, that's not good. And I like pushed the clutch, and all of a sudden it made a loud pop and shut off. I was like, oh, that's really not good.
Ooh.
Yeah. So I guess
open the window.
So I guess it was reading air temperature at that point because it lost all its coolant. So it never like went hot.
Oh,
so it dropped 15 degrees. So I was like, okay, it's running cooler because we're moving air.
Oh no.
No idea. So 3 laps, no water. I don't know the exact number, but it got hot enough to melt the external oil lines.
Holy shit.
Yeah. Later that night, we dumped water back in it just to see if it would fire up, and it fired off, and it ran.
No way.
Yeah, puking water out the heads, though. I mean, the heads were bananas at this point.
Oh, yeah, I would assume so.
So that ended our drive there short.
That it still ran, though, that's crazy.
It's like the V8 of the KA world, or whatever you want to call it. Because like after we got back home, as long as I like poured water in it, the thing would still do rolling burnouts through 3rd gear down the road.
That
like
is
nobody's
nuts,
business.
Dude, what the fuck?
So after that, I picked up another junkyard motor, but picked up a 6.0 and put that in there.
It ended up selling it, probably.
So I did Pro-Am in 2018 with that, with the 6.0 in it. And that was with East 10 back then. Yeah.
Okay.
We got 2 second place finishes back to back. I forget on the 3rd round, and then the 4th round, I was 1 battle shy of getting my license. And at that point, actually, yeah, after round 1 is when Naren asked me if I want to drive one of his cars.
Oh, okay.
So I swapped over. I kept the S13 as a practice car And I hopped in one of his LS S14 cars that was supercharged. One Tyler Nelson used to drive.
Yeah.
And I ran that for like the next 3 events. And the last event, like I was feeling good, and the car broke up like on the bank. And we thought we had figured it out. We thought we had fixed it. We thought it was spark plugs, yada, yada, yada.
Yeah.
And then when it came to battle, it came up again on the bank. And it was so bad that like it wouldn't stay in drift. So it double zeroed, basically. Yeah.
Did you? What ended up being the problem for that?
Fuel filter.
What the fuck?
Yeah, so with the ethanol and everything, you know, it can get gunked up over off-season and stuff. For whatever reason, I don't know, maybe I just didn't think about it. I try to be good about maintenance. I don't know, must have skipped the fuel filter or something.
Yeah.
So, you know, it's just one of those things. Change your fuel filters at least every off-season.
Yeah,
you know?
Yeah. Speaking of that, I need to do mine.
Yeah.
Because I'm going E85 this year.
Yeah, nice.
Yeah.
I'm also a big fan of, like, it's probably overkill, but, like, I change my oil, like, every 2 to 3 events.
I try and do it every event.
Yeah,
if possible.
really?
Yeah.
Dang.
Yeah. Well, I'm also dealing with unknown mileage RB.
Okay.
That's never been opened, for one.
Yeah.
So, obviously, like, Magic's in it. I want to keep it in there as
Yeah,
long as possible.
I let mine out about a few weeks ago
Oh, that sucks.
in the comp car. Yep.
Sucks.
Popped the motor.
So, well, I feel like with American stuff, it's not as, like, because I don't even think it's a real thing. I think it's just like a stigma or whatever. Like, what is that word? What's the word I'm looking for? Not stereotype, but like.
Don't ask me. I'm horrible with words.
Whatever. You guys know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
It's not as like prominent in the American motor world or whatever, but JDM motors, like it's very known. Like once you let the magic out, the kind of the healthiness of the motor dwindles a lot.
I feel like that's said to be about like LSs and stuff. People say get them from the junkyard. Yeah, slap it in. Don't mess with it. So I've been
because I hear people that'll say like, I would run heavily used like head bolts rather than like getting ARPs or something like that, because
now that terrifies me.
Yeah, because they're not weathered. They're like they've been through heat cycles, and like after metal goes through heat cycles, it gets stronger in a sense.
That's out of my realm. That's what those break-in period things. And
if any of you guys work with metal and know like the chemical makeup or science around it, let me know in the comments. But no fucking clue.
Yeah,
whole different world for me. So yeah, I don't know. But on that aspect though, like I guess to jump back a little bit with Naren, you said you only did a couple of the events working for his team per se, and not driving.
Right, I helped pit crew for him and like drive the rig and work on the car and stuff like that, and in the pits of the track. Like,
how long did you do that?
Don't try to correct my math here because I'm horrible with it. I want to say I met him in 16, 17. And that's when I came up to him at Piedmont and, you know, looking for some advice. And then from there, I helped him in FD Canada. I want to say all the rounds moving forward, however long that was. And then, I mean, like up until now, like, you know, American FD stuff, you know, did a couple years of that. Pit crewing, and now we drive together. Like we're the Shelby Drift teammates.
So, we're gonna talk about that in a little bit. But
so I used to drive one of his cars. It's a very, very heavy. You scratch my back, I scratch your back kind of thing. Right. So we just wherever we can help each other out, you know, we're there. So.
Is there anything that you would say, because obviously you weren't heavily invested in the competition at the time, so what would you say was the most valuable thing that you learned just helping run a crew or working on a team and stuff like that to prep you for your own program?
The most valuable thing? That's a tough one.
Yeah. Or a couple, whatever.
I would say run a program, maybe.
How do you mean, though?
Just making sure one, try to make sure your car's reliable and ready to go ahead of time, right?
Yeah.
That way you don't have to worry about that. When practice comes up, you can get your laps in. But just being committed, being there on time, not rushing, being well rested, things like that. You know, remember there's a lot of eyes on you, even if there's not. You know, you want to pretend that there are. And just, I don't know, just the focus of all things. And like,
what about just like
runs.
off track, like not like exclude the car, like just the process of being, whether it's a mechanic or a spotter or like what makes that teamwork, I guess, work well as far as the way it was ran on Nairn's?
Communication.
Yeah. That's for like to the driver or just everyone involved?
Everybody involved. I would say there are times that people didn't agree with each other. You know,
what were some examples, like, if you want to share that?
No, that's fine. It's just I have the worst memory ever, so I have to think about it. Just with like, say how something's worded to someone, right? Maybe someone takes it the wrong way of how you were asked to go grab something or do something like that.
Just being in the heat of the moment type stuff.
Right. And, you know, some people might take it wrong or not care at all how it's said. But when we're at the track, we know it. This is we got work to get done first.
We can cry about it later.
Or have fun later, whatever. So, like, it's just communication of everyone's on the same page and having meetings before and after. And like, after you're done trackside working, you can be like, hey, wasn't a fan of how this ran, or I feel like we could do this better, you know, things like that.
Yeah. I'm always curious because like, for one, you hear people say like never hire your friends and stuff like that, just because of the dynamic could really fuck up the friendship, for one. And on top of that, friends don't usually take the business as serious as you would, as say just a normal employee that you don't really know. So like, how, like, I guess how is that balanced out in that aspect? Because you all are like friends. And like in most drift teams, it's just a group of friends. So
well, I think it comes down to communication and like being able to speak freely how you feel. And like,
but some people won't, like they're just shitheads and like,
well,
they literally don't want to listen to what you have to say if you say it in the wrong way. So how do you deal with that part of it? Like, you just get rid of those people, or?
Kind of, but I'm a firm believer of work with who you have first and try to make that work. Don't just, you know,
I agree with that.
I can toss you away right away and get another guy. Not a big deal, right? I'd rather try to work with the initial people first and give it a go at making it work and communicating and be like, hey, we kind of need to try to do it this way, or we need to come up to something where we can work well together. But eventually, if it just doesn't work out, then I mean, you're kind of hindering yourself, the team. You know, they might be making other people upset on the team, and then collectively, you know, that can magnify negativity. And you know,
it's just so odd because like,
also like I'm pretty good, I feel like, about like, I have my friends and they can be my normal friends and business friends. And when we talk business, or just, you could be a horrible business friend, I'm like, you are ridiculous. I can't deal with you. Like, we're not doing this.
Yeah.
But we can go have a drink, have dinner, and have fun. Like, you know, there's two different.
Absolutely.
You know, so I try to keep that like well divided.
I get that. And I much prefer that as well. Because in the end, like, you got to like who you're working around too.
Because if not, it even like hinders yourself as your own, like, obviously you're your own person, but like who you have around you can, you know, if they're being negative or positive, like that stuff affects you, whether you think
I got some Joe Schmo that I don't like changing my wheels and tires, man, I'm going to be a nervous fucking wreck.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, and in a bad mood, overthinking about what's going to happen versus, you know,
focusing on the driving.
Yep.
Crazy. Damn, I don't know how we even got to that point. Okay, so as far as driving with Naren, how, because that was like essentially just an arrive and drive program type deal, right? Is that kind of how that was worked out?
For me as a driver?
Yeah. Obviously, I know you're going to be tinkering with the car and helping out in other areas.
Gray area there. He owned the car and obviously all the parts and stuff. Mm-hmm. I drove the car. I upkept it. On my own, and he didn't ask me.
So you housed the car and everything.
Yeah,
you trailered it.
I trailered it and everything for the most part.
So it wasn't a arrive and drive.
Sometimes they would haul it out there, and we would. Yeah, it was a little bit of everything, I guess.
Let's take a break from the podcast real quick. Winter build season is finally here, and let's just say if you're still rocking a stock steering wheel, that has to change. I wanted to team up with Grip Royal on this and bring you guys some very clean and simple grassroots hero steering wheels. And trust me, it won't be just a lousy 1 or 2 different style steering wheels. So if you consider yourself grassroots and you want to support the podcast by grabbing one of the Grip Royal collab wheels, customize it to the way you and your car are. Make it match, make your car look good, go grab a steering wheel. Get back to the podcast.
That's cool.
But
though.
yeah, for the most part,
I didn't even know he was doing multiple cars.
Back then, he had. That guy has so many cars that like the world doesn't even know about. I don't know how he does it. I mean, he's got so many drift cars and other things going on that.
What the hell does he even do for a living?
So he's a funny story. I don't know technically what he does. But I want to say he maybe doesn't manage, but does something with like plant. Work like not like these like
well, that's fake. I'd hope not.
I want to say something to do with like electricity, like grid stuff.
Whoa.
Yeah, I could be totally wrong. What's the name of the company? Siemens, I think it is. I think he works for them. I could be pronouncing that wrong.
Yeah, I have no idea. Yeah. I'm the wrong person. I don't know.
Yeah,
but
yeah, I know the guy.
That's cool though. I've always been curious because like he does have. Like, his cars are nice. Like, he builds really nice cars, and I know he has quite a few. Yeah. I didn't know he was running multiple back then. That's wild.
So he ran a S14, and Tyler ran his other S14. And then I want to say he did a fresh build for, like, SEMA or something, so he had his old chassis. So, I don't know, at some point he probably had 3.
Yeah.
Working drift cars. And now he's got his S14, then he's got the S550, and he's got his S197, which the S197's more or less the fun/demo kind of car.
Right.
Lot less to run, which is kind of like the car I have out there now for me that I just put together. But
yeah. Did you drive the new one here?
Mm-hmm.
Fucking sick. That's awesome.
Yeah, it was like 8-hour round trip. They drove great.
Damn. Yeah. That's cool. We'll get to that car here in a second.
Yeah.
They just built a third car.
Yep.
Essentially. Damn, that's awesome. Okay, so let me ask you this then. Whenever you were first exposed to drifting, like an actual experience with drifting in person and all that stuff, was it
way back in the day
based?
Or like initially?
Yeah, like initially. The first time you ever really heard or like experienced drifting in person, was it competition based?
Not quite, but kind of. So my uncle, which is a whole nother thing, he's only like 3 years older than me. So like I grew up with him as like a friend kind of thing.
Yeah.
And he had a pearl white S14, which I loved. He still has it today, actually. But I used to hang out with him as almost like a little brother, I would say. And he was into cars. He took me to Hyperfest back in 2007. I want to say. I can't remember where that was, but I was like, this is freaking awesome. Yeah. And like, of course, like I used to hang out with him in the evenings on weekends and stuff. And like, this is before he had his license. Like we would push his car out the driveway at night with his parents asleep, and just like go drive to like car meets and stuff like that.
That's hilarious.
And, I remember a specific time, actually his friend Jason was driving. I don't know if he'll watch this or not, but I remember being in the back seat and, he was like, go ahead and hit this corner real quick, driving back to the house. And this is like 2 minutes from his house. And it's, I don't know, 1 a.m. He like clutch kicks it
Yep.
and he dips the tire in the dirt. So it comes big angle, and then when he comes back on, he's overcorrected, so he snaps it back. So like tires squealing loud as heck. There's like a house right there, and we're like, yeah, we're just gonna leave for about 30 minutes and then come back.
Yep.
So, but yeah, that's kind of how I got into drifting. Initially, it was Hyperfest, like I said, I think in 07.
That's crazy.
Which was super cool. Like, it was the coolest thing ever. And then I went to a few Streetwise events with them and watched. So when I initially got into drifting, it was like all for just fun, like exhibition stuff.
That's so wild that it's transitioned into like hyper focused on competition, and like that's essentially all you really do. I mean, you do demos and stuff too, but
so yeah, we used to. I mean, we could talk for days probably, but back in the day, we used to, street drift. Everybody,
right, of course,
does whatever. But we used to have access to this warehouse thanks to a buddy of mine, Eric Trimmer. He's a he's a stunt bike rider. Matthew knows him.
Nice.
But we used to have access to this indoor warehouse where we would drift our cars. There's no lights in there, but there's like, I don't know, every 20 feet squared, like column poles. So we just had our headlights and drift cars. And like the owner let us like do whatever we wanted in there as long as he was cleaning out like the front side of it or something. A couple people totaled their cars in there. I was fortunate enough to not ever do that, but yeah.
Oh my god.
So like on Friday nights we would go like drift in this warehouse and then like go do a little back road street drifting.
That's so cool though.
Yeah.
What the fuck?
Yeah. So anyway, we went off on a ramble there. Yeah, I'm kind of focused on both. Yeah. I really enjoy running a program and trying to learn how to run it correctly with multiple pieces involved. Mm-hmm. I enjoy doing the demos and the exhibitions. I like networking through that. I enjoy getting more people into the sport, and I like giving people rides. So I enjoy all of that. I would almost say more than competition.
Yeah.
But I don't know. Probably the same. So I will always compete. I'll compete every year as far as I can. But I'm also very heavily on the demo and exhibition event side of things too.
Yeah.
So as long as I can budget it.
Well, not even like just the way you run your program, but like just the way the car's set up and everything. Mm-hmm. Like it is a very race car aesthetic to it.
Yeah,
like the delivery inspired by like more race car design. And
then,
you know, obviously I'm gonna call it out. Like you have fender gaps from hell.
Yeah, oh yeah.
And wheel poke, all that stuff. So it's not just the program itself, but like the way the cars are built, the way they operate, the look, all of it is like very race car inspired, comp inspired.
Definitely a function kind of guy, but that's not to say you can't have it looking sick and it function. I just don't have the time, budget to focus on something like that to get it dialed in with looking that good. Trust me, I would love to. The street car is pretty low. I don't know. The Mustangs don't look that low body line wise, but if you look under them, the diff is like on the ground almost.
Oh, I know. Yeah. Their Mustangs are very unusual when it comes to just lowering in general, especially like the SN95s and
getting the S550 in the trailer too, sucks. Right? I don't know anything about those.
Oh, I'm definitely. How wide are the S550s that you have? Like, what's the total width of them?
I don't know. The front. So it's funny that you mentioned wheel poke. This car, I just tested some new wheels that, like, with the camber that Matthew had in the car previously, it's not poking now.
What?
Yeah, but it's like barely.
I'll take it.
I'm trying to find it. You know,
that's great.
But with the other setup, which is not too much more poke than that. I want to say the trailer walls are like 82, and we're like rubbing tire down them every time pulling in the trailer. Like it's literally on both the whole way. There's no room for error.
Oh my god! Fuck that.
Yeah. The rear, I don't know because on the comp car it's Shelby wide body, so I'm not sure how wide that is. This street car or my street demo car, whatever you want to call it, That's still non-wide body. Eventually, I'm going to do the wide body rear to that as well. But so they're pretty wide.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a nightmare.
Is there, like, are the wheels as wide though? Does the fitment actually match, or are you running like the FD stance where the rears are like narrow as shit?
Like demo and exhibition stuff, I usually run my 18 by 11s with like 315s on them in the rear, and that fits pretty good.
315s, that's insane.
Yeah.
So do you always run 315s on those cars? Like, what is your common like demo tire size? Like, what do you
demo tire size? We run right now X-Comp 315 30 18.
Oh, okay.
Or
you're still running that big of a tire just to do demo stuff?
Yeah, it looks good fitment wise.
I bet.
I like fitment.
Hey, I'm with it. If it's for looks, I'm with it.
I try my best to have a good fitment when we're demoing and stuff. In competition, I'll let go of whatever for it to drive right.
True.
So either I usually run my 18 by 11s with a 315 on it for it to fit the wide body right, or if I'm running anything smaller than that, I'll run my spacers just to fill that fender gap kind of. In competition, you know, East 10, we were limited to a 255 Pro Spec tire.
Right.
So I would run no spacers there because I'm competing, and that's just how I prefer the car to run. So the fitment looked rough in the back. So you know.
That's that FD spec.
Right. So like I said, like you could probably take the time and budget to get it to function and look good. I just all my focus and budget goes into like the other stuff. So you know, the exhibition events, I make the car look as good as I can, and then when it comes to competition, I just set it up. What needs to happen to work works.
I'm here for war at that point.
Right.
Okay, well then, why after for one driving S chassis yourself and starting out in that, and then watching Naren and his S chassis galore of a program, what made you choose S550 or Mustang in general?
So growing up, my dad was a Ford guy. Okay. So we were kind of a Ford family. I grew up with like he had a 78 Bronco, 78 F-150. That's what I grew up around. So I've always kind of been a Ford guy at heart, but like when I got into drifting, obviously it was 240. 240 everything. Yeah. I've had probably 25 of those things.
Damn.
Yeah.
You still got any?
No.
Shit.
Clearly I'm an idiot. I should have held on to all of them.
I'm an idiot. I never bought one, like at all.
My very first one was $700. Running, driving, one blown rear shock.
Fuck you.
Body was great.
That's bullshit.
Yep. But so that's part of the reason why I chose the S550. It definitely helped that Naren and them were testing theirs at this point. It really helped speed up the learning curve of stuff on the chassis. But it was just time. This is when I was deciding that I wanted to be more serious and like develop and start running a program. And just it was time for a newer chassis for relevance.
For like marketing purposes and stuff like that.
Yeah, so like between that being a Ford guy originally and needing a newer car, newer chassis, I was like, what would I drive that's, you know, a more relevant chassis? And I'm a little embarrassed to say that I had a second option in my head, and it was a Camaro. I was either like Mustang or Camaro, and like of course immediately I was like that was just you have to come up with some other car to consider, and I was like, all right, well I can't think of anything else, so maybe a Camaro. No, I hate Camaros. So
hideous.
Yeah,
I'm sorry.
Yeah,
I know you guys like them. Some of you out there, but fuck, they're gross.
Yeah, I can't stand them. Like if you drive them, cool, that's fine. You know, it's not my car. But yeah, so pretty immediately I was like, Mustang. Gotta do the Mustang. So, that's how we ended up in the S550.
Okay. Would you say that the S550 is probably the superior Mustang chassis?
I've never driven a SN. or anything like that.
They're not that great, especially for drifting.
Yeah.
So we'll just say definitely not those.
Well, I would say the S550 is superior then, because in my mind, the SNs and everything else have been out for so long, people had a ton of time to really dive into those things, suspension-wise, whatever. I feel like this S550s probably have more to work with, maybe. I don't know.
How do you mean?
I don't know.
Like suspension-wise and stuff? Or
I mean, like...
Because I know the suspension in, like, SNs and Foxes and stuff are ass.
Yeah.
But the S197, like... This is all from, like, what Matt at Synergy tells me and stuff. Yeah. So, like, S197 was, like, the first year that Ford got the rear suspension of the Mustang right, I guess. Or
okay, so then maybe it would be between the 197 and S550. I really don't know.
No.
I'm not, you know.
I don't know shit hardly about Mustangs other than what Matt tells me. So, like, or what I'm recording him do.
Right.
So, like,
well,
Mustangs are a whole
he makes it all look
me.
good, so.
True. No argument there.
Granted, it's 197.
Do you run this handbrake?
Yeah.
Sick.
I run.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
So that's in my comp car, my street car, and on my sim setup.
Yeah. I keep bugging him to make a... For one, I want a pull-up handbrake.
Yeah.
But
how come?
I refuse. He's asked me to run this handbrake multiple times, and I'm like, no, I won't. Sorry.
Why are you like Chelsea?
Well, not even that. Well, for one, I want... That seems more comfortable. I feel frantic when I'm pulling a handbrake pulling back on one rather than pulling up. It just seems more comfortable and relaxed.
I didn't really think about it.
But on top of that, I used to ride BMX, so I won't run any handbrake unless I can put a BMX grip on it.
Oh, okay.
I just love, for one, the look of it and the way it feels.
Yeah.
So once he can make one that I can put a BMX grip on, which makes sense for him because he does stunt riding. It's the same grip.
That's true.
I'm like, just make it already. It's a tube.
Right.
It's 10 times easier to design than this crap. Sorry, this isn't crap. Wow. But you know what I mean. Frustration.
Right, yeah.
But
yeah, so I like that for it's cleaner.
True.
But like again, falling back to the competition aspect of it for me, pulling here is closer to my steering wheel and shifter and stuff. Yeah. So I'm like, whatever gets my hand back to the steering wheel the fastest, I guess.
I could totally understand that. And that was what my thinking was with a pullback handbrake, why I went with that in the first place. And like I would even extend my shifter up so that it was kind of matching a little bit. Yeah. So I totally get that. I was just curious more than anything. Yeah. I don't even know how we got to that point.
I don't even remember the question.
I mean, neither. It was about whether the S550 was superior or not.
Yeah,
nothing
I have
to do with
idea.
handbrakes.
I'm not a big suspension like guru. I don't know. I ask everyone questions. Thank God Denofa responds to me every time I ask a random question.
Denofa's a genius. Yeah, he's like.
I try not to bother him too much because I'm sure he gets messaged all the time. So unless it's like I really need to know something about something, then I'll reach out to him.
Yeah, that man just loves drifting so much. He'll answer any question you have. It seems like
for sure.
Damn, I just had a question on. Anti-squat. Do you run What's your opinion on anti-squat stuff? I know you just said suspension is not your forte, but
that is correct.
So, no opinion on anti-squat whatsoever, really. Or do you run it in your car?
My car is pretty unmodified. Like I got adjustable arms in the rear and stuff, but I don't think S550s really have that adjustment.
Really?
I don't think.
I have no idea. Matt's probably screaming at the TV right now. But
I would say I probably would want some if I could add some.
Mm. Okay, let me ask you this then. What benefit do you think anti-squat could bring?
You're going to get so many people yelling at me in the comment section because I have no idea what I'm talking about.
Do you want me to just cut that question
out? No, that's okay.
Yes, I love it.
I'm me, and it is what it is. What was your question?
Well, do you think, or what benefit do you think anti-squat could bring to your car if you did add it or?
Well, it drives. Does it help push the tire? into the ground?
Dude, I've had Matt explain it to me. I've had Josiah from FDF explain it to me.
Josiah will give you a headache because he's so smart.
He's a genius, dude, and he'll like. I'm like, bro,
I can't keep up. I don't know what you're
I'm
saying.
not smart enough for this.
Likewise.
Like, that's why I just come to you. I need suspension stuff for the Z.
Yeah.
I'm going to come to you, and you just answer it. But
to me, anti-squat, under load, under throttle, pushes the tire into the ground. Like a drag car, I guess. Matthews,
so
S197 probably does it.
Yeah.
However,
so from my understanding, it's the opposite of what, say, my car does. So as soon as I get on throttle and the rear's under load, the car squats like crazy.
Yeah.
But anti-squat, it would do the opposite, to where it's almost like,
yeah,
if that almost seems like it's binding more stuff. Would it not?
Man, there's so many variables.
I don't understand.
This is why I don't understand. This is why I don't
dude.
understand suspension. I've even went down to Florida with Denofa in a class. And I was like, this is wild.
Yeah.
Like, this is like mind blowing to me. And that's just like touching the tip of things, like on suspension. I don't think the S550s have that. I think they just squat. And unfortunately, they also tow out under load.
Yeah.
So
don't S chassis do the same? Aren't they a tow out? Or is that BMWs? It might be BMWs.
That I don't know. I want to say S chassis towed in.
Yeah, sorry. Don't worry about that.
That's why.
Ignore that.
That's why people look at my car when it's like parked and they're like, "Man, you're running a lot of tow in." I'm like, "This is like static. Like when it squats, some of that comes out."
Yeah.
So I imagine if I didn't run any under squat, it would be towed out, and I don't obviously want that. But I would say if I could add anti-squat, I would. And coming from someone who has no idea what they're talking about, I would think that would help, because anytime I'm on throttle, it would lift the rear. And if it's lifting the rear, it's going to tow in versus towing out. So I
didn't even think about that part. Yeah.
I would probably want some if I could.
Huh.
But I mean, there's so many different driving styles and so many different drivers and so many different variables that I'm going to say this. What works for Naren will wreck probably half the other people out there if they try to drive that car.
Why? What?
His setup is like so aggressive.
Oh, it's just like really gripped up.
Yeah, in the S chassis. And like the way he has his car set up and how it does on throttle and off throttle, it's just wild. If you're not committed, you're probably going to wreck.
Okay. Yeah. I gotcha. That's kind of how my Z was set up when it was stock, VQ and everything. It didn't like to stay sideways. I mean, I was running 265s and had the Z as gripped up as I possibly could, just because I was at that capability of the car. So it's honestly kind of scary tandeming with a car that drives like that.
There was I don't know if I have the video. I have to have it somewhere, but my S13, we used to have it on like full kill mode testing at Piedmont.
Yeah.
And there was one time I'm like coming down the hill and I'm usually pretty, what's the word I'm looking for? Committed or confident. So I usually can just stand on throttle and be fine. And like there was this one split second where I was uncertain where the car was going to land. So I like lifted ever so slightly and the car just snapped straight and it launched me right into a barrel off towards the woods.
Damn.
And we were like cooking. I was like, right. Forgot. Don't lift.
Yeah. Don't fucking lift.
Yeah.
Yeah. I've been there multiple times. Beach Bend, actually.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. The LS Vest layout. Running that sweeper, it fucked me up. Car gripped up in a weird spot on the bank, and it just took me straight into the wall.
Not a good place for it to do that.
Yeah, it sucked.
Oh man.
Anyways, the OG blue car though, is that like that's the original S550 that you got, correct? Like the same car?
Technically no.
Really?
So the first S550 chassis I got had less than 3,000 miles on it. It was a California special.
What?
Yeah, it was, and I think I found this deal on the way to SEMA one year. I can't remember. It was a wreck chassis, but like barely. Like the front bash bar had an impact on it. Like no frame rails, nothing tweaked at all.
Yeah.
So I stripped that one down, super clean. I did solid subframe bushings in that already. That was going to be my first S550 drift car. Then fast forward a little bit, I found a smoking deal on a running, driving S550, which that could be a full day of conversation in itself. I'll try to make it quick. $5,000 running, driving S550 up north. Wrecked on all corners.
Oh my
God. But ran and drove. I bought it sight unseen, paid someone to bring it down. And I was like, I'm going to start drifting this car while I build the other one. The other one I was kind of nicknaming like Mona Lisa. It was super clean, barely any miles. Like that was going to be the clean build of mine. And then I got this other car, got it home, and it has a tick. And the guy was like, yeah, it's got the typical Coyote tick. So I'm like, all right, whatever. It checked out the sound of it on video and according to everyone else. Well, that wasn't the case. Also, this chassis had 210,000 miles on it. It had a bent valve. And the oil in it looks like they had never changed it in its entire life.
Oh, fuck.
And this was from a tow yard I bought it from. The original owner, luckily I come from working at a salvage yard, so like I'm always careful where I reach my hands and stuff, and I usually wear gloves, cleaning cars out. Yeah. I definitely found a pipe in it and a couple needles. So I was like, man, this car has a freaking story, dude. So anyway, that turned into my seat time car.
Okay.
And then it just kind of snowballed from there. And then I was, long story short, decided to add a second driver to the program. So I put Cameron Griffin, who's now my teammate. I put him in my current comp car that I was driving to see how he felt and if he could drive it and stuff like that. And once we got the green light that he felt like going down that route, I sold him my clean original one I was going to build for like super cheap, and then helped him build that at the house. That's the car he drives now.
Gotcha.
So technically the one I compete in is my second car.
Yeah.
And then this car I bought from Matthew to turn into a street/demo car for some things.
Right. Okay. Well, whenever, I guess, because obviously the car is pretty done up now, but whenever you first started it in that car, how relatively stock was it
when I started
your first
drifting
event, let's just say?
Back then, I did SS manufacturing billet angle kit on it, which is essentially the same as the comp cars that RTR runs. Not their fun haver angle kit, except the control arms basically flipped with a tie rod. So I had a billet angle kit on it, stock rear end, stock e-brake. It was horrible.
Yeah, I'm sure.
Stock seat belt.
Stock seats is wild.
Yeah.
And that big body.
First thing you can ever do. Yeah. Put a freaking seat in your car. Yeah. So I guess just the angle kit.
That's it. Like no coilovers or anything on it. Like it was that.
Oh yeah, I did coilovers. Yeah.
Okay. I was about to say.
I think I have. What coilovers did I put on it at that time? I don't know. Coilovers and angle kit. The wheels that I had at the time were not a good size for that car. Like the poke up front was like insane.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was it.
Okay. Whenever you like started, I guess, getting more heavily into the S550, what parts did you like start throwing at it that really helped the drivability of the car at that simple of a build?
Man, my memory is so bad.
Because obviously the angle kit's going to do a lot of justice. But
yeah, immediately I was like, okay, hydro. So I put a hydro in it. I think I did solid subframe and diff bushings.
What's your opinion on that while we're there? Because for me, I just sold my solid diff bushings that I had sitting on the shelf for like 2 years. and I have subframe solid bushings. But like, I just don't want to put them in because I know I'm gonna start breaking stuff as soon as I do.
How much power do you make?
I mean, it's probably not even 400 at the moment.
Yeah, but still, you probably clutch kick and stuff, and that that ramps that up.
I am aggressive on the clutch. So.
Yeah, I would say I am too. Unfortunately, I don't know. That's kind of a tough question. I went solid diff bushings, subframe bushings. Mustang diffs are known to like break the bushings. I've seen bolts break too. I don't know if that's involved in that, but I don't know. I've always ran them.
Yeah.
And if something's going to break elsewhere, you know, I'm also in that car. I'm also on Josh F shop axles, Silver Sport, like T56, Tremec T56 and stuff. So everything's beefed up for the most part and can take a beating. I just want less shock through the chassis all the way to the wheels, maybe. I don't know.
Be able to feel more of it.
Yeah, and less movement in the subframe and stuff like that.
Okay. Because I've always been curious. Like, I hear from Z and G guys all the time that as soon as they put solid mounts in, it's just, I mean, cracking subframes and like.
Oh, okay.
There's only one bolt that holds the diff in on a Z.
Oh my god!
So like,
really?
yeah, you essentially, if you put solid mounts in, like,
so I would
highly suggested buy a fucking diff brace, preferably the FDF one that like webs all the way across the subframe.
Out the gate, I probably would do the brace and like poly bushings or like new OEM bushings.
Okay, so yeah, I think I'm just gonna stick with poly.
And something like that, I definitely would. Dude. Yeah,
because they.
Are BMWs bad for that too? Subframes cracking or something? Or is it
I don't know
chassis?
about subframes cracking, but the chassis, yes. So you'll have to like reinforce where the mounting points for the subframes and stuff are, coilovers, all that stuff. Just because like it's shitty tin foil is like what the metal is made out of.
I would say everything on the S550 is pretty beefy and like you can throw a solid whatever at it. The only downside that I've seen with them, and luckily I haven't experienced it yet, is where so it's a divorced
the trans mount.
Yes.
We broke one of those by hand. I just want to express that. If you have an S550, get a new trans mount.
Yes, and you can get them from Matthew at Synergy. I cracked 2 stock ones on track when I was at MT82. Like, not doing anything crazy.
There's a video. Just go to their Instagram. There's a video. We literally, he goes out and he threw it on the ground a couple times. It bent that way for one, and then he goes over way less hard this time. 2 hands and just goes tink on the ground, and the end of it just snapped off completely. Yeah. I was like, "There's no way it was that easy."
So yeah, definitely upgrade that. But the other thing is, so they're divorced rear suspension. And where the shocks bolt in on the side of the chassis, there's like 2 bolts up there.
Okay.
My assumption is they're breaking due to people hitting massive potholes or setting up their car wrong, whether it's on air ride or I don't know, but they're bottoming out their shocks maybe. And the stock top hat is aluminum and breaks through if you do that. But a lot of people upgrade to like billet ones and stuff and then bottom them out, and they, instead of breaking through that, they rip out the mounting holes in the chassis. So there'll be people on Mustang pages all the time being like, "Hey guys, how do I fix this?" And it's a picture of their like mounting points ripped out of their chassis. And I've always,
that sucks,
dude, I'm
bro.
like, God, I hope that never happens to me. So I always try to make sure I have enough travel both ways, which sometimes is but I definitely keep the stock OEM top hats back there. So hopefully they'll give before.
That's crazy.
That. So that's kind of like that subframe or diff thing right there.
Yeah.
So I don't do the solid like billet stuff there. I run the OEM. So that's a fail point over.
It's so weird that like every car has some tiny little fucking defect that like the manufacturer just refuses to acknowledge.
Yep.
That's so insane. Which, like, in something like that, where it's mounting points ripping out, like, what would they even be able to do for a recall or something on something like that? Like, how does that even work?
Yeah.
You gotta tear the whole car apart?
Yeah. There's people out there now making like little weld-in plates that help brace it and hold it in place
that's cool.
now. But yeah.
What do you know the company's name? No. By chance? No.
I want to say
if anyone knows, drop it in the comments.
Yeah, there's like 1 or 2 companies out there doing it, and I probably should get a set done. Or Matthew, you can make those.
Ta-da!
Help us out.
Yeah. No solid mounts for me. That's for fucking sure. Not happening.
Can I ask you a question?
Absolutely.
How long have you been drifting? So it's multiple questions, sorry.
Well, drifting for 3 years, was off for 3 years while I was building the Z with the RB swap. So now back again, first year back. So 4 total.
Okay. So really my question is, what's your favorite track you've drifted?
Polecat.
Isn't that like in your backyard?
Polecat. It's 30 minutes away. Polecat.
So I watched a video on your Instagram the other day, and I was like, man, this track looks amazing.
Incredible track.
Yeah.
I will go back to that track any fucking day for the right host, for the right event host. A lot of people have asked me to go for other ones, and I will say no every time.
Oh, okay.
It's for my own personal reasons. But
sure.
Oh my God, I could not brag on Polecat enough.
It's that good.
It was peak drifting for me, 100%, no doubt about it, no questions asked.
Okay.
That's why I was like, as soon as you said that, that's my answer, 100%.
Well, if you got to drift any track or location in general, like at all, what would it be?
US Air.
US Air? Where's that at?
Up in Wisconsin, I think. Wisconsin, Michigan, something like that.
Same thing. North.
Yeah, same shit. It's all the same. Where they have final bout.
Okay.
Actually, there was a lot of final bout drivers at Polecat for the Chase Bays event, and they said it's like Polecat is an exaggerated version of US Air, so it's a lot larger, a lot faster, but like the elevation changes and like the way the track flows is like incredibly similar to US Air.
Have you been to the drift event that Drift HQ does on 4th of July?
I went 2 years ago. Did not get to drive.
That's unfortunate.
I am fucking going this year.
Me too, again.
I am going.
That track.
Duarte, you hear me? I'm going. I'm going.
That track, to date, again, I've been drifting somewhere around 13 years. That track has been the funnest track, just me in car driving, that I've ever done in my life.
You would absolutely love Polecat then.
And it's like most of it's due to the elevation changes.
Yeah.
Like it's insane.
That was another one that people were saying was probably the only thing comparable to Polecat.
Really?
But I'm gonna argue it. Polecat's better.
When
I'm not joking. I could not tell you. The first time I went around there, I couldn't figure out when it was gonna end.
Yeah.
That's how long the track is. I could not figure out when we were getting back to the front straight. And on top of that, the entire thing flows. You could link the entire track other than the front straight and the full drift. Like you could drift the entire thing.
I know you mentioned event organizers or whatnot. Is there an organizer that does events there regularly throughout a year, or it's just...
So Polecat
How's that track work?
So new to the aspect of drifting.
Okay.
Like the facility isn't even prepared for it, for one. It was kind of a struggle running Chase Bay's event. For the amount of cars that we had to make the event like operable and appropriate.
Yeah.
Not even just the fact of making money, like make the track look full, make it seem like something's always going on. There was not enough space to park us. Like the vendor area was absolutely tiny, just because it was like the first parking lot you go into when you get there.
Interesting.
And it's not that big, and then you go down this like little.
Is it like a motorcycle track or what?
No, I mean it's a full on like road course track. Like
it's like a test track, right?
Beautiful track. I mean, it's a full on road course. Like it's straight up a road course.
What was it built for originally?
That I couldn't even tell you.
Gotcha. Okay.
No idea. But they do like a lot of grip driving training and stuff like that. They do classes and shit.
Yeah, okay.
I assume some like, grip driving events, wheel to wheel, maybe.
Yeah.
But they don't really know anything about drifting. There's the one event host that has ran a couple events there. Mm-hmm. That is the only one that I know of that was doing drifting until Chase.
Yeah.
So, obviously, the other... I'm not going to get into that part.
Sure.
But from my understanding, the track owner wants to be involved in drifting and likes it, but to a certain extent. Like, it's not... He doesn't want to prioritize it. He doesn't want it to be a main factor of the track. Like, he'll probably do 3 events a year.
Okay.
And that's about it. Which I think is the correct way to approach it for a track like that.
At least initially, for sure.
Yeah.
That way you can get your bearings together and like figure out how it can go.
Yeah. Well, not even that. But like if you overpopulate the amount of events, like people will become numb to it.
Yeah.
Just like we're seeing now. There's so many events that we can go to whenever we want.
Yeah.
That like people are like, it's fine. I'll just go to the next one.
Yeah.
Like people are so okay with that. When I first started, I was pissed if I missed an event.
Yeah.
Just because, fuck, now I got to wait a month and a half till the next one or whatever it was. So, like, that's the way to do it. Keep people engaged and, like, that FOMO factor alive where people look forward to being there.
Yeah, it's kind of like the 4th of July event. Like, it's only once a year. And, like,
people...
It is a blast.
Yeah, get pissed when they miss it. Just like me.
Yeah.
You know? Yeah, I went there and did a podcast with them. And then I sat in for a minute with them on the live stream, and that was it. I was only there.
You didn't even ride in a car with anyone?
No, I was there. It was very busy, just starting the podcast. So I was hitting as many podcasts.
You were on work mode. Got it.
Yeah. That's all I was focused on
for sure.
But so I don't even know how we got to that point either.
I just wanted to know what your favorite tracks were and that you have driven or would like to drive.
Oh yeah. Okay. Then Polecat. I would rant and rave about Polecat all fucking
For some
day.
reason, I had a feeling that's what you were going to say, but...
Yeah. And it's like not even for the fact that it's 30 minutes away. That's just...
Well, that's awesome that it's in your backyard.
That's just an amazing aspect to it. But holy fuck, that track's amazing. And like being at sunset and like... The golden hour shots. It was the track is cheating. Like it's straight up cheating as far as videos and like photos and stuff like that. Yeah. Oh my god, it's beautiful, man.
That's like when we, for the most part, are on the East Coast, but for those rare times that we do get out to the West and do like events in Arizona or Vegas and stuff, the like mountainous backdrop stuff is really really cool.
Yeah, Utah.
Yeah,
I'd love to drive
Utah
somewhere in Utah just to have the scenery.
Yeah,
but
definitely generates like a real like cool vibe or whatever you want to call it.
Oh yeah,
backdrop like that.
Yeah, I would, dude. I mean, there's a certain spot to where you could say that Polecat might be the closest thing to like non-togue drifting, but the aspect of togue drifting in the South, maybe. Like that might be the closest thing to togue drifting in the South.
Might have to try to
not actually togue.
Make it out if there's an event at some point out there that you support going to or whatever.
Yeah, well, I don't know this to be true. Do not take my word on it.
I'm definitely taking your word for it.
That's fine. You guys don't. I think Chase will be the only one to be able to host events there.
Gotcha.
As far as drifting.
Okay.
At least for the next year. Maybe in the future.
Now, are they? Is that still like a only like Chase driver thing, or like open to?
I think Chase will stick with that, the customer appreciation type events.
It seems to make sense right now because it's very new going in, right? And like, how many drivers do you have already at that point?
We had a lot. I think there was close to 80 drivers.
Oh yeah, that's plenty.
No. And they were all like, let's put that in perspective. You see 80 drivers at an event, and you think, okay, well that's like, that's pretty decent. But like, you think of just normal cars. You got your average beater, your shit box, maybe a pro car, and a couple like Stancy car looking cars. Nope. Every motherfucking car there looked so good.
Nice.
That's awesome. Whole different ball game when it gets to that point to where
like, if you got that and then a beautiful backdrop and the media from all of that, is probably like superb.
In today's age, like that's the only way to make an event profitable for one, which that one was not profitable like at all. There's no fucking way.
That was the first one, right?
Yeah. The first one for one, and then like the capacity for spectators like did not offer the ability to make profit.
Yeah.
So it's just that has to be the only way to really make an event sustainable is if you're prioritizing media and decent looking cars. From what I can see nowadays.
That's something I need to work on. We're doing all this stuff on our own dime in my program and stuff, and we're like at the point that where we're doing so much that we're kind of capping ourselves of what we can afford to do.
Yeah.
But like I have to. This year we started paying for more media, which helps tremendously, and I learned very fast that like you have to have media coverage.
Yeah. Once you do it, you're like, wow, I was missing out on a lot.
Yeah, and it helps so much more, especially like your partners and everything, moving forward.
So satisfied.
Yeah, exactly. So we need to add more budget to media for next season. And
do you not incorporate that stuff with your, like, say your deck, like your sponsor deck, or just any deals you work out throughout the year?
All my partners that I have and work with now, I guarantee them media, but it's all out of like my pocket, like on my end.
Yeah. Well, okay. So then let me ask you: you don't have any monetary help, or do you?
Very, very, very small. Like if any right now, which is something I really need to figure out how to change, because like what we plan to do and moving forward and what we plan to do in a few years, we're going to need some monetary support on that. And right now I'm in a mode where I'm transitioning what I'm doing for a living to help make a larger budget just to be able to handle it more on my own still. But we're at the point where we need like monetary support from people.
I would feel like at that point that might hinder you a little bit more.
What's
taking too much of your time and energy from the program, even though it might be funding more of it.
I'll still be working the same amount.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I'm not doing any.
That's sick.
Yeah, I'm not going to add like any more to it. Drifting already. I mean, this year we were at the point where we had multiple suitcases packed in our house for 2 different trips. So we flew out to Vegas, worked on the cars at Shelby, got them in a trailer, took them to Arizona, drifted at Fuel Fest. And the world will learn here that I blew my engine 4 laps in there. So, and then threw everything back in the trailer, drove the rig home, got home, dropped that suitcase, grabbed our other already packed suitcase, hopped in the car and drove up to Indianapolis for PRI.
Yep.
So, it's, very time consuming, but like everything we want to do and like my plans and goals, there just has to be a larger budget, which I need to figure it out.
Considered making the media side of things a part of your pitch? Because especially if like
you mean like them paying for it or having their
so like if for one you're in the circumstance of wanting to find a way to gain more monetary out of sponsors, and also needing more monetary for media stuff, that provides value for you and it provides value for them. So if they're helping fund the race program specifically, the media helps with the race program. So if you incorporate like kind of a planned out, not script, but like just an idea of what the media would look like. Maybe you're posting 2 long form videos a month and 5 short form a week or whatever.
Yeah, that's what I need. That's what I need to
show
figure
them
out.
that, and they're like, well, this could provide way more value than what we did last year, and I already have proof of concept because we dabbled in it on my own dime last year to show the proof. Yeah. So if we have, say, 40 extra grand for the year, we could have a cameraman just there all the time. Yeah. Or like at every event, ready to post videos.
And if you do it that way, I really feel like it boosts everything, like tenfold.
That's what I'm saying. So like if you're already seeing the value it's bringing to the sponsors with the videos and stuff you're already making on your own.
Yeah.
Just imagine if you paid someone to actually make a quality video.
Right.
And then on top of that, it's more sponsor incorporated because the person would probably know how to incorporate sponsorship stuff into your regular content.
Yep.
And then on top of that, you get extra reach. So your audience grows, which now gives you even more leverage to use.
It's a win-win-win situation. I guess I need to figure out how to get the companies to understand that and be like, yeah, let's do it. I feel like
I want to touch on that.
That's a tough thing.
That's a big thing that I hear a lot from drivers is trying to make a company understand. For one, why? And for two, why wouldn't you want to work with someone that already understands?
I'm going to start with the why part, and I could be totally wrong. I feel like so many drifters, no one in particular or anything, have disrespected companies in some form or shape,
100%.
asked for a bunch of stuff, and then never supply on their end like they should.
Yep.
And if anything, honestly, do the opposite of, doing good for them. And I feel like that put a bad taste in a lot of companies, whatever. So I feel like people have made it harder for drifters in general to hook companies and partners.
Have they, though?
And then,
because there's still companies doing it. So, like, is it the companies that people are trying to focus on and get help from that, like, just, they obviously see the market and how it works, but they're not choosing the right people, which now has transferred their mindset into, it just doesn't work. But, like, obviously, like, Drift HQ does great with it. So, like, Kansei does great with it. Why can't those companies? So, like, I'll never understand trying to get a company to understand the value in it.
Yeah.
For one, you're always going to be doing that. Well, you're constantly going to be fighting that battle to make them understand with every single video you make for them, with any type of promotion you do for them. You're always going to have to fight. This is why this is valuable to you.
Yeah, yeah.
Instead of the company already knowing, like, we need you to say something organic in this certain way. And you do that, and they're like over the fucking moon because they already understand the concept and like what value that equates to.
Or maybe it's just that the companies that people or us are going after, maybe they already work with like 5-10 different drifters. True too. So like they're like, well, we already got this going with this person, or I'm still very much learning all of this and trying to figure it out.
Right.
So
we're not advisors. Just saying that.
Absolutely not.
Don't take our advice. We're stupid as fuck.
Exactly. And if anything, I'm all ears. So if you got a trick, let me know. But yeah, so that's something I'm trying to figure out this year and moving forward. And Mike with Drift Dreams, he's kind of been forced into my team manager essentially. For what it's worth, he is the only person that gets paid in my program right now because he is my team manager and my spotter. And without those, I just can't drive.
Yeah.
Eventually we hope, in my eyes, I want to be able to pay everyone helping on the team.
Absolutely.
Moving forward in a competition versus like, and I'll probably be wrong about this because I'm not driving an FD. There's a lot of people in FD, so they know and they have more information than I do. But there's like a lot of people, that everyone's just helping there. So to fall way back on our talk earlier, it's friends or, people that you can get to help you for free. So it's not always top-notch help. I feel like you need to be able to pay your people that's helping you.
Yeah.
Because I feel like you have to have a good foundation. I feel like everyone needs to be in a good mood. Yeah. There to work. They're getting paid. They're not losing out of pocket. And if
almost
they're being,
comes back to the friend thing.
Exactly.
That we're talking about.
And if they're being paid, they're your regular crew guys. They know everything going on. they're all about the communication. And, I'm rambling on, but I feel like if I go into FD at some point, it's hopefully by then I will have a system figured out where I'm working my program well enough to be able to pay the people helping me there. That way, when we're gone away from home in our normal jobs, whatever they're being paid, they're not stressed about not having enough money to do what,
Yeah.
So, I am a driver, and I've been driving for years, and I grew up on dirt bikes, four-wheelers, three-wheelers. But anytime someone asks me to get in the passenger seat, I hate it.
That is insane to me.
I hate being a passenger. I'm not in control of what's going on.
Yeah.
Don't like it.
Dude, that's so fun. Because, like, I swear to God, I'm sorry that I'm bringing this back up, but, like, past 3 podcasts, Drift Appalachia gets brought up, and, like, I've been to one.
You would never catch me passenger there.
Exactly, and that's what I tell everyone. I'm like, you know how some people are like, they literally refuse, even on, like, a skid pad, they won't be a passenger in a car. I'm not that way. I never will be. I love it. My
wife's the same way.
Thrive in it. It's fucking amazing.
She'll hop in whenever.
Unless if I have my car there, it's amazing. If not, I get sad.
Yeah.
But I will always be cool with it. Drift Appalachia, though, that was the one time where I was physically scared sitting in the passenger seat, knowing I did not have control of anything.
Yeah, no thank you.
Luckily, I had trust in the drivers that I was with, so
that's
amazing. But
I have infinite.
Fuck, dude, that was the only time.
I have infinite trust in like Naren and a handful of other people. Like, absolutely, but I still just don't like ride. Like, Naren and my wife is probably the only two that I will hop in every time they ask me to hop in as a passenger. Outside of that, surprising. Like, even though I don't want to, it's just like respectfully, like, I'll ride with those two. But
eyes closed the whole time.
Dude, I hate riding passenger. I'm like, all right, well, we're gonna die today. So
yeah. Well, speaking of other drivers, I know you already mentioned that the red car, Cameron drives it. Mm-hmm. What made you choose to add a second car? Like, what was the idea behind it?
I liked watching. I like being a part of Naren's program.
Okay.
And seeing how he ran things. And then watching the RTR guys, which I like from an outside view, right? I like how things are ran with multiple car team stuff, and as much ADHD as I have, and how hard it is for me to multitask. I like, for some reason, running a program and a multiple car program at that. And my thought process is, one, you save money on fuel and hotel costs, right? If you're doing events together and driving the same truck and trailer, which we do have both cars in the trailer. But also for the program, at least for me, I don't know about the partners, but it's double the vehicles out there, getting double the content. And I don't know. I just like running a program. Yeah. And like having a multiple car team.
How much did it cost to even build a second car? Like what? And how different is that car compared to yours?
Exact same.
It's identical.
We built both those cars in my garage in my backyard with holes in the wall. I don't know if Cameron wants this to be on or not, but I'm not scared for whatever. We were building both cars, and we built them pretty identical, which is why I'm so weirded out that his car drives so differently. But his car fell off a lift at like 4 a.m. and almost killed me.
Holy shit.
Yeah.
What?
I had a T56 Magnum on my shoulder, and I was having him lower the car down. It's our fault, like absolutely our fault. My wife was working on the car earlier that day, and I like hounded her about putting a stiff knee under the car because I don't like people under the lift without safety.
Yeah.
Well, the safety unit bit me in the tail end. 4 a.m. We'd been working all day, didn't even think about it. The stiff knee is back. He's lowering it down, and all of a sudden the car like starts picking up, I guess, in the rear, and it started falling. So I dropped the transmission, and I went to run out from under the car, and like an idiot slipped and fell.
Oh,
got back up, slipped and fell again. And I'm like dragging myself out at this point, and like that whole time I'm just waiting for it to land on me.
Oh, dude.
I got out, made it out of there. The car's like this.
Did you shit your pants, bro? I would have.
I thought I was going to. I went in the house and woke up my wife and it's like, just so you know, I'm alive. She's like, the fuck are you talking about?
You're like, are you retarded?
Yeah.
Like, go back to bed.
Yeah. The car landed like this. And I honestly think it was partial of the lift and the bash bar from Matthew's shop that landed on an air compressor that kept me alive there. So thanks, Matthew.
What in the fuck, dude?
Dude, at that point,
That is ridiculous.
I was like, it's time to go to sleep. Like, clearly, we've been up too long. We were trying to make a deadline to get the cars like to the wrap shop and stuff.
Tell.
And, yeah, exactly. Because like usually, I'm very big about all that stuff and making sure safety is priority. And then it almost killed me, literally. So, but yeah, to answer your question, we built them side by side in my garage. 99.9% of the same parts, and everything. Like the only thing different right now, if my memory serves me right, is his spring rate in the rear is a little stiffer than mine. And
I mean, that could be a major
that's about it.
Reason as to why it drives different.
Yeah, it's just well, also he's hydro rack now. Which is a big difference.
What the fuck?
But before that, maybe that's all it was. Maybe he's on spacers in the rear and a stiffer spring rate. It's just like his car feels like it wants to just loop all the time. Like you got to be way ahead of it. Again, this is before the hydro rack stuff, but it just always want to over rotate. But even when I ran those same spring rates, my car, like I feel like I could throw it as hard as I want and it would always catch.
That's weird.
Like if you spin out my car, which I have, you're an idiot. So,
well, that's the car that was hit on all sides.
So my assumption,
measured everything.
My assumption is that chassis has so many miles and so much wreck damage that it's just flexing.
Gotta be.
And driving better, even though I have the cage welded to the roof. Yeah.
What the fuck?
She's beat. I probably should have put him in another chassis and continue building that car. But the way I seen it, I was like, we can do this now. I can always get another chassis. I got people that part them out and stuff like that. So I can I can just get another chassis and build it. But
well, how much does one of those cars, if you had to ballpark what you were asking, how much does one of those cars cost at that caliber?
Current caliber?
Yeah.
My car? I don't really want to think about it.
I know it's kind of painful, I'm sure.
I honestly have no idea. I'm going to say 40 to 60.
That's way honestly less than what I was expecting.
Okay, so probably 80. No, I have no idea.
Yeah. Well, yeah, we never know. I would want to guess that my car probably has 40 grand into it.
I do know
but it might be more.
The Haltech stuff alone that I have in that car boils to around 10 grand alone.
Fucking hell.
So
that's absurd.
Yeah, probably closer, probably more than 50.
Wow.
If I had to guess.
Okay, so then how much overhead does a whole car add? Because that's obviously consumables. You're doubling consumables. You're doubling how much shit you're bringing to an event for one.
Yeah, but that's shared between two people.
Yeah, but as far as space, you have to have a trailer big enough.
Yeah, that's
so.
Cameron,
how much does it really add on top of the program to just have a separate car or a second car?
Well, the trailer definitely takes up a lot of space in my driveway. Thanks, Cameron.
God, I'm sure. How long is that fucking thing?
50 foot.
Fuck,
yeah.
Dude, that's nuts. Well, okay, then when it came to, just to jump back on the 2-car thing, when it came to picking a driver, did you already know Cameron was going to be that driver, or did you have to put some thought into it?
So I met Cameron back when I was running my own mechanic shop, super low key mechanic shop out of my garage in my backyard. someone that knew him also knew me. He had a high school, the kid's young, for starters.
Yeah.
He had a high school project, and he kept messaging me like, hey, I want to do an LS swap on my S14 I got. Wondering if you'd be interested in that, and how much that would be, and yada yada. And of course, I don't know about now, but back then, like, everybody wanted to LS swap. Yeah. It cost $2,000, sure, whatever. So I'm like, no offense, this is a high school kid. Hey, LS swap my car. And I'm like, okay.
You realize what's going on?
Yeah, so like rudely, I would say I didn't respond to him. But lucky for him, he was persistent or committed to keep reaching out to me. So finally I was like, all right, let's meet up and we'll go over it and talk about it. And he was young enough at this point to where I had also chatted with his mom about all this, and I was like, I want you to understand what he's trying to get involved with right now, and it's going to be every bit of $10,000 easy. I said, and just for the record, these 240s with a stock engine, I've almost killed myself in and done 2 front flips in one before. I was like, I want you to understand that, I don't know, I assume they paid for most of it, or maybe he had money saved up, I don't know. But regardless, I was like, I just want you to be very understanding of what you're supporting here.
Yeah, that's
and
cool
investing
that
in.
You took the time to
Well,
lay it out. Like, this is what the fuck you're about
yeah,
to do.
this stuff's not you could really hurt yourself. And I really wanted his parents to know, like, how serious that was. Because I think he was either 16 or 17 at the time, I think.
Oh, wow. He was super young.
Yeah. Maybe he had just turned 18 right when we finished it, because I had his mom sign a waiver, and I also had him sign a waiver, and I took her for a ride in it down the street before handing them the keys over to it, just so I could show her, like, hey, this thing roasts like the tires off of it through almost all the gears. It's sketchy. I really wanted the mom to know what this was. And fast forward a tiny bit. Sorry, Cameron, I'm putting you out there, buddy.
Just airing it out.
Just know you have redeemed yourself, and you are a better person now. I seen a random video online of him doing a donut in some parking lot with a bunch of other people, and I was like, it's like, this is part of why I didn't really want to do this.
Yeah.
But he immediately after that, I think he can correct me. I think he went to some school up north.
Okay.
Learned how to do drifting that way.
No shit. Okay.
And then came back, and he had drifted that S14 that we put together ever since. And it actually might have, I really don't know. It might have been partially his idea. I really can't remember. But seeing how he did with the S14 build, and briefly was going the opposite direction that we wanted him to with it, but then he turned around and like went to schooling for the stuff. So like he seemed committed and interested enough in it, and we kind of like got along and hung out and stuff. So I was like, let's give it a shot.
Yeah.
I was like,
try this shit out.
For me, for my program, preferably I wanted it to be also another newer chassis.
Yeah.
In a perfect world, another S550, right? So I put him in my car at the end of one of my seasons and let him drive it, and we went from there.
Well, I wanted to bring up on that aspect, I'm sure it's brought a lot of extra opportunities as well. So I know you work with Shelby America now, which not now, you have been. But how would that have come to fruition without having like a second car, or was that already a thing beforehand?
That was well, I'm going to say it was already a thing before.
Yeah.
I
kind of figured.
Because that wasn't a me thing. That was through Naren. So Naren has been working with the guys at Shelby for years, and has been chipping away at doing things with them over the years. And my appreciation goes to him
Mm-hmm.
for getting me in the door and being there, which obviously is part of my driving and how I carry myself in my program, right? Like
Absolutely.
you know, wouldn't be a part of it if it wasn't going well enough for that. But I have him to thank for that. That's how I got on with Shelby. So yeah, the whole 2-car thing, not necessarily a part of that or anything.
That's good.
But it is really cool working with those guys. Like Vince, he's the VP there.
Yeah.
He's always smiles, always like, what you need? What we need to do? Or like, you know, how's the cars? Work on the cars there. He comes out to the events. He'll hop in the car, drive the car, whatever. He was there when I blew my engine.
Oh shit! Yeah.
He's like, yep, ringland failure. So
He knew exactly what happened.
Yep. So, but yeah, so that was I probably wouldn't be a part of Shelby American if it weren't for Naren.
Yeah.
Because he's the
That's
one.
really cool.
He's been working with them, you know, for years, and it just stars aligned at some point, and so we're part of the Shelby Drift team now. And anytime we can, we try to do things with them out west and stuff like that too, and you know,
cool.
hopefully to do more things with them eventually.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Well, have they? I assume they've opened up to the idea of just drifting in general a lot more over the years because of you guys, right?
I would say for sure, because Naren has been really trying to drill and push that drifting
Sounds
thing.
like Naren.
Yeah, which you know, consistency tends to help a lot, you know. So yeah, I would say we're probably why drifting is a consideration or a thought with them and stuff.
Is it just you three
Mm-hmm.
that are under Shelby at the moment for drifting?
Yeah.
Okay. So, do they have any eyes on anyone else, or are they just trying to really move forward with what we've got?
So I don't know that I can talk about much.
I have some questions. Okay, let me just ask. Okay. I'll just be blunt and ask.
Sure.
If you can answer it, you can't.
Sure.
Whatever. I've heard the idea of Shelby America possibly becoming its own team in, say, FD or any other type of competition. Is that something that is a high probability, or is it just kind of a thought?
Yeah, I can't say.
Can't say?
Can't say.
Can I leave it in?
Well, I didn't answer, did I?
Fair point. All right. I'm not. Let's just put it into hypothesis, or not hypothesis, into theory.
Mm-hmm.
How do you think Shelby America tackling FD would affect not only FD itself, but say big programs like RTR?
Well, if you want my own personal opinion,
own personal opinion, excluded any partnership or any other type of whatever the fuck.
I mean, there's no way it wouldn't be cool to see Shelby versus RTR and FD.
Oh, duh.
Like, what was your question originally?
How do you think it would affect both FD entirely and teams like RTR? I say RTR because they're primary Mustang, like they're forward based.
I think it would be a positive thing for sure. I think. I mean,
do you think it would add a lot more validity to the FD having such a reputable, massive company involved in it?
I would like to think so. I love FD.
Yeah.
Don't get me wrong, but I have my
everyone does.
You know, whatever negative opinions on certain things and whatnot there. I definitely think it would help things. And if all the moving pieces work right and are aligned correctly,
Yeah.
I think it would be, pretty cool.
Well, can't get too deep on that. I know.
Can't say there is anything, becoming of that or anything like that. It would be cool, though.
I assume Naren's tried shoving it down their throat. So that's why I questioned it. But that's just Naren. Like, I mean, plus he's been in FD, so I assume he has, like... is he still... He's not doing FD right now, right?
He's not doing FD right now. He does plan to go back.
Okay, so that... Yeah, I knew he kind of had the itch to go back or whatever, but... So
it's it all comes down to budget and, like, being able to do it without doing it on your own. And because when you do it on your own, you have no time to focus on anything but making the money to try to scrape by to, do the thing there. And if you're scraping by running yourself thin, FD is too much money to be trying to do it that way.
Oh, absolutely.
Your chances of doing well are already, probably bottom because you're just getting into it. Yeah. But, like, you add the stress of skipping out on amount of tires you have or whatever the aspect is, not leaving early enough from work because you need to make the money, so you're getting there last minute, you're tired. And if you're making a go at FD, you need to have everything as polished as you can. Yeah. To put your best effort into it. So,
well, okay, then along those lines, there's a lot of people that, they'll bring up the fact of, like, we need bigger companies, Fortune 500 companies in FD to really make it grow to the capacity it needs to be. If there was one company that you would love to see involve themselves in drifting that has zero to do with just motorsports entirely, what company do you think would be beneficial or would be just unique to even see?
You mean like...
Because, like, just to give you an example, like, F1 has Rolex. Crazy.
Yeah.
But, like, that attracts a very high-dollar, high-value individual to the motorsport that I don't think drifting necessarily needs. How do they... You know what I mean?
How does it tie into it? Like, what's the connection, though? Or is it just...
Marketing is the connection. I mean, it's just for marketing purposes. Like, you watch an F1 race, you'll see Rolex logos all over the place.
Well, their marketing... let's say you had a Rolex advertised in F1 and you had it advertised in FD. What would be the ratio of how many eyes see that versus this on FD?
Well, exactly. But, like... FD is not going to ever be able to necessarily get to that point without major companies like that. Because then on the FD's value point of that now gets promoted on that company's platforms, whether it's just for one video or for whatever, but they're going to reach way more people than that. That's going to now attract to FD and acquire, permanent fans. But if you do that in like I was saying, Rolex, that's going to attract a very high dollar, high value individual, which necessarily wouldn't fit right with drifting. Not at the moment.
Yeah, I could see that being a double-edged sword.
It's a weird,
I could see that going
balance,
both ways, being a good thing and potentially bad thing. I don't know. I'm not good with that kind of stuff, really.
Yeah. Obviously, I'd love to see McDonald's and, like, places like shit like that. But, like, there's always, like, that one that someone has an idea. Like, for Caleb Quanbeck, we'll use him as an example. His presenting sponsor is Walther.
Yeah.
Utterly incredible.
Yeah.
Like, that's absolutely amazing. Have a firearms dealer.
And now he's having social media issues over it.
Oh, I know. But, which is, like, obvious, whatever. That's our
social
stupid
media.
Society. Yeah. And you guys are all pussies. Sorry. Not you guys. You guys are great. But the world, So I don't know. It's just it's shit that spins in my head. I know eventually drifting has to get to that point.
Yeah, absolutely.
But how and who bridges that gap?
Well, see, like Rolex, I feel like would be a perfect thing, right? Because they could help budget wise.
Yeah. Now I would say someone like, I don't know if Seiko still owns G-Shock, but G-Shock would be more of like understandable for what we do. F1 is very
What's G-Shock?
like pristine and like it's very professional and classy. And,
like in that category.
yeah.
Things,
And drifting is like we're fucking grungy. We're like
well,
we're like the Marines.
I don't know if they're a big enough
motorsport,
company.
You know what I mean?
But you would need like C4 would probably be a good one.
Yeah,
but they're like not
that's what
massive.
I was saying. In like the watch category, G-Shock would be like the most ideal because for one, we beat the shit out of our cars.
Yeah,
we need a watch to be able to, whatever marketing ploy you use
for a 5-minute timeout.
Yeah. Is it almost time for my run?
Right. Yeah.
Anyways, but yeah, I don't know where I was going with that other than just.
Well,
I'm always curious what other people think in that
aspect.
Like
NASCAR has all kinds of things, right? Like M&M's, Coca-Cola, Pepsi, whatever.
Bunny bread.
Yeah. Like, I would like to see C4 be involved with drifting, but like, I don't know if that's a good fit or like a large, like, you know what I mean?
Yeah. I mean, we're kind of seeing that like with NOS right now.
Yeah, that's true.
But like then again, Forsberg has been with NOS for what, since 15 years or some shit like that?
Like what, day
probably
one,
more?
relatively? Yeah, he's been with them forever.
I don't know.
And then you have Vaughn. How long has he been with, Monster?
Yeah. That's, damn.
Yeah, C4, maybe it's time you step in. I don't know.
For real. Celsius needs to step in.
Yeah.
Holy shit.
Celsius never really works for me.
I hate it. I don't like Celsius.
Yeah.
But I'm just saying, like, that would be that would be a
For
fucking
sure.
hit in drifting.
You couldn't tell I'm a C4 guy.
People drinking those all the time. I'm like,
yeah.
That's like White Claw. It tastes like TV static.
Yeah, it doesn't taste good to me, and for whatever reason, like the caffeine, it doesn't really wake me up or like.
Yeah, no, not at all.
But
hopefully, it would be cool to see Shelby in FD.
Oh, for sure.
I won't say any more on that, but
yeah, I would love to.
That would be really cool to see the dynamic change with a big team like that coming like right in out the gate.
Yeah.
So, all right. Well, let's see. Where was I?
Page 42.
Right. Okay. Well, what is your plan going into this year for 2025? Like, what events, or are you trying to focus on demos more or comps? Like, what's the...
So, I have decided to do Pro-Am again this year, which is not a surprise. Was planning on doing that anyway. But...
East End?
Nope.
No? Who is it?
U.S. Drift Circuit down in Florida.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Good guys.
No offense to Louis. I don't know how many people are going to hate me for this, but I hate like shootout style events for licensing.
Get that. Yeah.
And
they know that too.
Yeah, I guess his isn't a shootout, but it's double header weekends. So everything's crammed in, and again, me wanting to run my program and stuff, I like being able to, just like Pro Spec or Pro, your events are one weekend.
Yeah.
And it's one round, and then you have time to either rebuild or strategize for what you did wrong in the previous one going into the next one and stuff like that.
Everything.
Yeah. So, which I get it, that saves people money in travel. And this is coming from someone like that has no money. So like, I get it saving money there, but, US Drift Circuit does like a 4 to 5 round system, and it's like spread out like Pro Spec or FD. Yeah. So I'm deciding to go down there this year, do Pro-Am down there. I thought about leaving the comp car down there. There's probably a couple people I know down there that I could maybe keep the car at, but I'm not sure yet. Yeah. And then, actually, we got a lot of events down in Florida. There's going to be all the Pro-Am rounds, and then there's at least 2 fuel fests down there, like weekends back to back. So we'll probably might take both cars down. I don't know what I'm doing, dude.
We're just winging it.
Yeah.
Just kind of going as we go.
Competition is priority, which that's with the comp car. And then a handful of demo events and exhibition events are priority too, to help like network with partners and stuff. Just like Fuel Fest with like X Comp stuff, Hyperfest with like Haltech, and that's in our backyard, so we would do that anyway.
You got SEMA with Optima and all that.
SEMA with Optima, and then that's when we do stuff with Shelby out there a little bit.
I need to talk to Optima. I need to get a new battery for my car.
Yeah.
Not some cheap fucking AutoZone bullshit this time.
Nice. But yeah, so I kind of focus on both, really.
Yeah.
Competition would probably take priority if I had to set this down over here to focus on it or whatever. But like at the moment, it's a little bit of both.
That's good.
So
that's good. Well, just in case anyone wanted to come out and see the cars and stuff in person, that way they kind of know.
Yeah, so we'll be at all the Pro-Am rounds down in Florida. We're trying to do both Fuel Fests in Florida, and then there's a couple more we're going to try to do, one being, I want to say in Texas, and then we're going to do Hyperfest, 4th of July with Drift HQ, Optima activation at SEMA, probably do Ford Fest again this year if it's a thing. I assume it is, right?
I would assume so, yeah. I think they confirmed it, yeah.
We want to try to do at least one Grid Life, if not two.
You should. 100% you should.
Which one y'all recommend again?
If you want like the full Grid Life experience, Gingerman, but Atlanta's going to be really cool this year.
Road Atlanta, as long as I can get in, and I don't think it's me in my car that doesn't not have a chance at getting in. It's just there's so many people that are going to try to get into it. I really hope to get a spot and drive it because the first Grid Life I did was Road Atlanta.
Yeah.
And only got 3 laps out there. It was one of the funnest tracks ever. So I would love to come back years later with more experience, new car, and a car that's proven to work and not give me problems. So, I'd like to be at that one too. Okay. So we're hoping to do Road Atlanta, maybe the South Carolina one if it's a thing because it's in our backyard.
South Carolina was cool. I wish my car had worked properly. But the access to both tracks is really cool there.
So I was planning to not do it again because the full course would just burn through tires and there's not a ton of spectator area. But I was told that the kart track's a thing this year. So
kart track was really cool.
So we'll probably just do that.
Plenty of people to spectate on there.
Yeah.
And it was just alternated. So big track to small track, big track to small track.
So we'll probably do that. We considered Road America.
Gingerman is like, it's the Midwest Fest. So it's like the hometown Grid Life that always has usually the biggest like show after the fact. So like big artists,
So if you had to choose between Road America and Gingerman, you would choose Gingerman?
Probably Gingerman. Yep. Just so that you get the real full experience of Grid Life. Okay. There's a lot more people that go to Gingerman, I think. Actually, I'll just say yes to that. Definitely more people. A lot more of the whole like the rave life crowd as well. I don't know. Like the track is really cool, but it's like it's cool.
Yeah.
It's just the environment that Midwest Fest
is like
awesome.
Hyperfest. Patriot's a fun track, but after a handful of laps, it's like it is what it is.
Yeah, I've heard that a lot.
But the vibe and the whole weekend of the festival and stuff, it's it's fun in general. So
yeah,
but yeah,
okay, cool. Hell yeah! Well, now if you guys do want to go see any of the cars driving, now you know where. Yep. But follow him so you can keep up to date with all that stuff.
Yeah, if you like my kind of stuff.
Real quick. Well, cool. All right, so let's get into the last few questions. Okay. For one, let me ask you this before those two. Mm-hmm. What do you think the biggest lesson drifting has taught you?
Some form of patience somehow.
Really?
Yeah. Usually I'm not. How? I don't know, man. Cars break all the time, and things don't go the way you want them to, and
that's fair.
You just have to keep that glass half full kind of mentality.
Dealing with the up and downhill bullshit.
Yeah.
That's what it teaches you.
Over
that's
time,
fair.
Yeah, you just kind of.
Okay, I could agree with that.
It's helped me mentally, I would say.
Okay.
Take that.
Drifting is a very inspiring sport, so it's cool to see what people can learn from it.
Yeah.
In the slightest, but all right. Well, anyways, if you could, what is the best advice that you could give to anyone just getting into drifting?
Start out simple. Simple seat time car, not overbuilt, something reliable, not crazy power, something that you can hop in and have the correct tools and just drive.
Don't LS swap it out of the gate.
Don't LS swap it out of the gate. If this question could be asked years ago, before 240s were expensive, I would say go get you a stock K240, welded diff, working e-brake, seat and a harness so you don't slide around. Go for it.
Fair enough.
That's what I would do. I miss those days.
Pair
of tires in the trunk, drive 4 hours, drift on them all day, hit the walls.
Even in the Z, dude. All weekend
the Z
on
is
2
probably
pair of tires.
Yeah, the Z is probably the new 240.
I could do a whole weekend on a pair.
That's crazy. Mustang's like 6 laps max.
Yeah.
Almost on no matter what tire you're on.
Yeah.
On the X comps, like cooling them down, we're seeing like 10 to 14 laps though now, which is pretty good on the Mustang as heavy as they are. So yeah.
Well, good. All right, and then if you had the opportunity to speak to the entire world, what would your one message be?
Don't be a dickhead. Be kind. Like, it's not that freaking hard. Be polite to everyone. Everyone's going through something. That's literally drifting all included.
Fucking no.
Do we need to retake
I'm laughing because of Josh from Front Street. Whenever he got that question, he was like, "I don't do this, but be a nicer person." I was like, "What the fuck kind of shit is that?"
Yeah, to me, man, like a lot of drifters, I don't know, come from. I don't know. Everyone has struggles. In life. Like, I don't care what level you are, or poor, rich, like, none of that matters. There's always a fight that someone's going through, no matter who you are. And I just think doesn't cost you any money to be respectful and polite to people and just be kind. Yeah. I think I posted on my Instagram a post that did not perform well, of course, just saying, be kind. Like, it's not that hard. Yeah.
I'll second that too.
Just be a good person.
Better than just being kind and being nice. Like, half the time you don't even need to do that. Just learn how to shut the fuck up. Like, it's like, that's funny, but like, for real, you got 2 ears and 1 mouth for a reason. Listen twice as much as you speak.
Yeah.
So just shut up.
And that's the thing. That's
let
why
the filter work more.
I always try to absorb information from everyone around. Dude. So like, just like being around FD and like around other people's programs and like RTR and stuff, like I try to watch those and like listen and see how things ran, and then I like put that in my brain. I'm like, all right, how can I do that, or how can I do it to the best of my abilities with what tools I have currently? And I don't know, it's my big thing is like, just don't be a dick.
Yeah.
Life's hard enough on everyone. Like,
absolutely.
Just smile.
Well, good. I like that. All right. Well, you want to plug yourself? Shout anyone out, or plug your sponsors, anything like that?
Man, yeah. I mean, my partners are part of the reason why I'm able to beat on this car like every season, like over and over and over.
Hell yeah.
For anyone wondering, I've had people ask me what stuff I have done to the S550. Let's see if I can remember all these. We got a Silver Sports transmission that put a T56 in our cars. I think it's a T56 Magnum. And then Silver Suspension. We run their coilovers 2 ways on the comp cars. We got McLeod with their RXT twin disc clutch that, like, if you guys look at my videos, I'm like clutch kicking the living mess out of them. What else? We got Haltech on board on my comp car. And boy, I tell you what, like, if anything's transferring my car to a new car, the Haltech, like the Nexus R5 is what we put in my car. With that and like ethanol, that car, I didn't know I could love that car even more. And like another shakedown at a big event, we did the Haltech stuff and had it dyno tuned there, took it straight to the 4th of July event, and like, car feels like it makes like 800.
Speaking on that, before we close this out, obviously I run a Link ECU, but it's a standalone. So like, just the fact of a standalone, whenever you finally made that jump, how beneficial did it actually end up being compared to what you expected? Because for me, I did not realize all the shit that you could do. Just, I mean, down to the simplest stuff of specific sensors that you can add to do certain things or parameters.
I'm on the same page
like,
as you.
Oh my God. I was like idiotically dumb.
What made you make the jump to standalone?
Well, I had a Nistune in the car for one. So for anyone that doesn't know what a Nistune is, it's like it's a factory ECU that has been essentially had just had the chip replaced in it.
Yeah.
Or whatever the fuck. So it takes a certain program to, to do any type of tuning on it or anything. You have to have a license for it and all this stuff. So trying to find a tuner for one was awful here. You can find plenty of them in Australia because they love Nistunes there. But I have my tuner now that was going to try it, and because essentially most softwares are relatively the same. So I just had to get the license or pay for it or whatever, but it was going to cost me either like $200 or $300 just for the license, or I had to find someone to use theirs, and it just added so much extra complication.
Yeah.
So I was like, I'd rather just not deal with the headache, pay the fucking money, and get the ECU that'll just do whatever, and I can literally just hand it off to Jay and be like, fix.
So for me, the reason why I made the jump is the internet will tell you we fought electric steering gremlins. The factory, what is it? The CAN bus system on those cars. Yep. They do a lot of things, and what we didn't know is if you remove the ABS system out of the car, when I removed the ABS module and pump out of the car when I did all stainless steel braided lines and stuff like that, and did my hydro stuff. Well, what I didn't know is that was part of the CAN bus system health check for things.
Oh,
so
shit.
and I mean, this took me many events to figure out, and a lot of wasted time, and I wish I'd just known going in. I had no idea. And it's helped other people since finding out that too, that started running into similar problems. But it would be like, what it boiled down to is every so many key cycles, the steering rack would go into a limp mode or fail-safe mode, whatever, and shut down.
That's crazy.
Yeah, and I had no idea. And so I was like swapping out racks, all this, yada, yada, yada. And then one night, like after the millionth time I tried to research, I finally came across someone's forum talking about the CAN bus system on those chassis, and like something about every key cycle, it does like a health check, and when something's not responding over a certain amount of cycles, it shuts down basically. So
that's weird.
So we were fighting that, finally got that figured out, and then I started having throttle body issues, like communication issues randomly. So it really seemed like the car with the factory stuff and body control module stuff just wasn't happy. And it's been biting me like every event, every like program around this past year, basically I was having problems with it. And then last year, SEMA, I went up to Haltech with my car in the trailer to pick up Naren's Mustang to take out there, and me and Andrew at Haltech got chatting and stuff, and that's after that SEMA event is when we got on board with Haltech stuff. And like you said, the amount of things you can control and do and mess with, I still have no clue what all I can do with this thing. I know I can control things with my phone, and I know I can, apparently, I think they said you can even data log while the car's on the track running. And yeah, I really need to go have a week with Andrew and learn half of this stuff, because I have no idea what I'm doing.
Yeah.
I had this last SEMA trip where we were running the cars. I had Andrew and the guys come by when they were passing through and just data log the car and just check it out, make sure everything was good. And they were like, "Yep, everything's good." And they can remote in, which I'm sure you can do this on other things too. But that's cool to me that I can plug my laptop into it, and then they can remote in and no matter where they are. Just
that's just computer, your own like computer based stuff, anyways. So
but still, just like that alone, even to me, I was like, that's crazy.
Yeah,
like, clearly,
even the new like the Neos and stuff that Link just came out with, like they have the wireless connectivity, so you can. There's no more cord dangling, which I know that's not like a major fucking new thing, but like. That's awesome. I hate that damn cord just sitting in my floorboard. Like it's kind of annoying, but
it's like
simple little stuff like that is crazy.
All the factory chassis harness and body control module and everything is out of my car, and now it's just the Nexus R5 system and the dash, and the wires for that stuff to make it work. It's way cleaner.
So simple.
Yeah, I love it.
Hell yeah, dude. All right, well, I guess that's pretty much it. That's all we got for this one. Yeah. So if you want, hit the subscribe button. If you're already here, you might as well hit the bell notification while you're at it so you never miss an episode. And then, of course, grab the merch, steering wheel, gloves, hats, shirt, so on and so forth. Really appreciate it if you can. If you can't, no worries. Thanks for just watching. But that is it. I will see you each and every Sunday for a brand new episode. Thanks. Peace.
Stacking way up to the ceiling. Trust no bitch, can't catch no feelings. I've been taking long flights from the Bay to Ibiza. Hit home runs, I'm a ball like Jeter. I just want fuck, then I leave her. I'm a young pop star, call the boy Justin Bieber. Got your own money if you want a teacher. Whole life a movie, you can watch it in theater. Stacking way up to the ceiling. Trust no bitch, can't catch